Erica Banks slept in her neat, quiet home when the world tore itself apart at 2 a.m. A single knock, sharp and insistent, echoed through her dark hallway. She sat up in bed, heart pounding, as heavy boots pounded toward her bedroom door. Before she could reach for her glasses, the door burst open. Brilliant floodlights snapped on, painting her walls in harsh white. "Police!" Down on the floor came the shout. Erica's breath hitched. In a blur, officers streamed past her. Bed, guns drawn, and faces set in iron. Her living room lay just beyond the door's threshold. Tidy sofa cushions, the family photos she dusted every week, her favorite painting of a sunrise over the ocean. It was a sanctuary she had built with courage. Now it felt as cold and foreign as a prison cell. She swung her legs off the bed, sliding to the floor in pajamas, hands raised. Fear coiled in her stomach, squeezing until she feared she might not breathe. "What's going on?" she called, voice small and shaking. No one answered. Instead, they tore through her home like a storm, shoving aside books, overturning drawers, scattering papers with brutal efficiency. A young officer rifled her nightstand. He tossed aside her late mother's locket without a glance. Eric's pulse thundered. She wished she could tell them they had the wrong person. She wished they would pause, take a breath, and see her for who she really was. But they treated her like a suspect, not a woman with long nights of study and a badge in her pocket. Memories of her childhood flickered through her mind, her mother's gentle voice reminding her that courage often needed a soft heart. She had grown strong in the FBI academy, learned to face danger and doubt, yet now, stripped of her uniform and credentials, she felt as small and vulnerable as the frightened girl she once was. They banged open her closet and yanked out coats, scanning pockets. An officer found her FBI badge on the floor. She had left it there after a shift. He frowned at the gold emblem, but did not recognize it. He pocketed it without question and moved on, as if he could not imagine that a black woman might carry such power and authority. Erica's chest tightened. Pain and anger burned together. Was this a mistake? A misread address? Or something darker? A name called over a radio that sounded like hers? She tried to steady her voice. "Officer, please, I am an FBI agent. I can explain." Her words drifted into the chaos like a plea in a canyon. They did not stop. One officer paused, rifle trained on her trembling form. She held his gaze and raised her badge high. The metal glinted under the harsh lights. For a heartbeat, everything stood still. Erica's eyes met his, calm but fierce, full of truth. Then alarms outside shrieked, and the moment shattered. They shoved her aside and raced down the hallway, ignoring her outstretched hand, ignoring her explanation. Alone in the torn-up room, Erica knelt in the wreckage of her home. The door slammed shut, the floodlights switched off. She sat among the debris-shredded papers, broken frames, her mother's locket lying open and empty on the floor. Tears slipped down her cheeks, hot and bitter. She drew in a shuddering breath and pressed her hand over her heart. In the darkness, she found a single spark of resolve. They might not know her yet, but she would make them see. She was not just a name. She was not just a target. She was Erica Banks, and she would not be broken in her own home. Approximately 650 words. Morning light seeped through the torn curtains as Erica Banks stood in the wreckage of her once orderly home. Her heart still pounded from the night's terror, but she refused to sink into despair. She cleared her throat, straightened her robes and stepped toward the front door. Outside, uniformed officers milled about, avoiding her gaze. The lead detective stood apart, arms crossed, face grim. Erica drew in a steadying breath and lifted her hand. "I am Special Agent Erica Banks," she said, voice firm despite the tremor in her chest. "You have no warrant, and you have violated my rights. Call your supervisor now and verify my badge." For a moment, only the hum of street traffic answered. Then the detective unfastened his radio and spoke her name and badge number. Erica watched the horizon, her pulse slowing as she pictured Milo's hopeful smile back, home a reminder that fear could not claim her. Minutes later, the detective lowered his radio. "Agent Banks," he said, voice tight, "badge confirmed. I apologize for the mistake." His eyes flicked to the scattered debris, library books dumped on the floor, photographs torn from frames, her mother's locket lying open and empty. "We'll fix this," he added. Erica held her ground. "Apology accepted," she replied quietly, "but I need full transparency. I want body cam footage, witness statements, and a written report of every action taken here." She led the officers back inside, though her home still smelled of cold sweat and spilled coffee. She treated the scene as evidence because that was what it was, proof of bias in action. She assigned one young officer to photograph each overturned drawer and broken vase. Another recorded the exact timestamp of every radio call. Erica watched them work, her notebook open, pen poised as she cataloged each detail. Memories of other families, of mothers who woke to broken doors, of children who learned fear before they learned to walk, weighed on her. She pressed her fingers to her lips and exhaled slowly. She refused to be defined by this violation. Instead, she channeled her pain into purpose. By mid-morning, neighbors gathered at a respectful distance. Some offered coffee, others stood in silence, shame written on their faces. A few crossed the street, set down potted plants, and nodded encouragement. Erica felt gratitude bloom in her chest. Their small kindnesses were the first threads of healing. She closed her notebook and faced the detective. "I will be filing an internal complaint," she said. "I want community oversight of this investigation, and I will press for bias training in every precinct." He met her gaze and nodded. "We will comply, Agent Banks." Erica stepped onto her front porch as the sun climbed higher. Her home was still disordered, but her spirit felt steadier. She inhaled the crisp air and whispered to herself, "This ends now." Though fear had knocked at her door, it could not enter her heart again. In that moment, she knew her fight had only just begun and that every right she claimed for herself would echo for those who had none. Morning light found Erica pressing her palms to her cheeks as she watched reporters gather on her front lawn. Microphones floated beneath her windows. Camera lenses glinted in the sun. Her heart thudded, loud as a drum. She had agreed to one, interviewed just one, but the world seemed to have come to her doorstep. Neighbors peeked from behind curtains. Erica folded her arms and inhaled slowly, reminding herself that fear was only a feeling, not a fact. She opened her door and stepped onto the porch. A sea of questions crashed against her calm voice. "Agent Banks, how did you feel when they stormed your home? Will you press charges? Do you trust the police?" Erica paused, choosing each word like a careful surgeon. "I felt terrified," she said, voice soft but clear. "My rights were broken, but I still believe in justice. I believe in people doing the right thing." Reporters scribbled furiously. A teenager live-streamed on her phone, her viewers' comments racing across the screen. Hashtag stand with Erica and hashtag justice for everybody. Erica felt warmth in her chest. She had imagined hiding from the world. Instead, she faced it, and it opened its arms. That afternoon, local activists invited her to speak at a small rally in front of City Hall. She arrived to find a crowd of 50-some held signs reading, "End broken doors and protect our rights." Others held roses or cups of coffee. A child stood on a crate, chanting, "Respect, respect." Erica swallowed hard. Memories of the night-splintered wood, rifles pointed at Hirschevard behind her eyes. She steadied herself. When it was her turn, she climbed onto the crate beside the child. The crowd hushed. Erica's throat felt tight, but she spoke anyway. "I never thought I would plead for my own safety in my own home," she said. "I have worn a badge to protect others. That badge did not protect me. But today, your voices protect us all. She closed her eyes, breathing in their support. A wave of applause rolled over her like a gentle tide. Behind her, a small group of officers watched from the steps. Some shifted uncomfortably. One saluted quietly. Erica caught his eye and nodded. She believed in good police officers, ones who cared. She also knew change needed both courage and kindness. That evening, she attended an internal hearing at FBI headquarters. Across a long table sat her superiors, their faces sharp in the fluorescent light. They asked her to recount details. She spoke slowly. The knock at 2 a.m., the boots in her hallway, the moment she raised her badge and they ignored her. Each memory carried weight. Each word affirmed her truth. When she finished, a silence draped the room. Then Agent Ruiz spoke for her. Her complaint is valid, he said. We owe her an apology, an account, and a promise this never happens again. Papers shuffled. Erica let relief wash over her, but she did not smile. Relief without action felt hollow. On her drive home, she recalled her mother's gentle voice. Speak your truth, even if your voice shakes. Tears filled her eyes, not from fear, but from pride. She had spoken her truth. She had made people listen. Though her home still bore scars, her spirit felt stronger. That night, Erica placed her badge on her bedside table. She touched its cool. Madeline whispered, "This is not just for me. It's for everyone." Then she closed her eyes, heart full of hope, ready for the battles still to come. Erica woke before dawn, her mind still humming with last night's rally and this morning's meetings. She sat at her kitchen table, notebook open, and sketched a plan for community oversight. Every line felt heavy with responsibility. Outside, the first light turned the sky a soft blue. She sipped her coffee slowly, thinking of other black women whose doors opened to fear, not justice. She promised herself she would not let their stories fade in the headlines. By mid-morning, Erica was in City Hall's oak-paneled conference room, facing the mayor, council members, and a dozen department heads. Her documents lay in neat stacks. Before her, a proposal for mandatory bias awareness training, a draft of independent review procedures, and a timeline for body cam audits. She spoke clearly, each sentence measured, each fact backed by data and lived experience. These changes will protect every household, she said. They will build trust. A city councilor cleared his throat. Special Agent Banks, your plan is ambitious, but training costs money, and paperwork slows policing. How can we guarantee officers follow these rules? He looked at her skeptically, arms folded. Erica felt a familiar sting of doubt, but she steadied herself. Trust grows when we show respect, she replied. Officers want to serve communities they feel connected to. This isn't extra work, it's essential work. Despite her words, the room buzzed with uncertainty. Later, a union representative cornered her in the hallway, voice low and harsh. You're making cops look weak in front of townspeople, he growled. We protect this city. You don't know our risks. Erica's heart pounded, but she met his gaze. I know what fear feels like when you can't prove who you are, she said softly. I also know what it means to protect every life. Let's find common ground. He scowled and walked away. That afternoon, Erica led a small listening session at the local community center. Families who had lived through aggressive stops, mistaken identity, and unwanted searches came forward. A mother spoke of her sons. Tears when officers broke her door at 1 a.m. A high school student described the shame of cuffing in front of friends. Erica listened without interruption, her pen capturing each detail. When the last voice fell silent, she stood and said, Your stories matter. They will shape our reforms. Heads nodded, tears glistened, and hope warmed the room. By early evening, Erica was inside a police precinct she scarcely recognized. The walls still smelled of coffee and stale uniforms. She stood before a circle of officers, some in dress shirts, others in fatigues. She began with gratitude. Thank you for coming. I know change can feel threatening. She talked about her time in the field, the fear she faced when raiding dangerous targets and the confusion when her own badge meant nothing to those who stormed her home. Faces softened as she spoke, and soon questions replaced tension. Late that night, Erica returned home with tired bones and a full heart. She brewed a final cup of coffee and spread her notes across the table. She wrote detailed recommendations for training modules and oversight committees. Each word felt like a promise to herself and her community that no one should wake to broken doors and question their worth. She glanced at the framed photo of her mother on the mantel and whispered, "We're doing this." The next morning, local news outlets ran stories on her proposal. Headlines read, FBI agent Banks leads reform and from raid to rescue, a city's call for change. Erica watched clips of her speech and felt both pride and gravity. The work ahead was vast, but the conversation had begun. That evening, she returned to the playground where Milo once swung his legs skyward. Empty now, it waited for laughter. Erica pressed her fingers to the cool metal of a swing chain. "We'll fill this with children's voices again," she vowed. As dusk settled, she saw a family cross the lawn, parents holding hands, children running ahead. In that simple scene, Erica found the strength to keep fighting. Change would come, one honest conversation at a time, and she would lead each one with courage, born from her own front door. Sunlight filtered through the airplane window as Erica Banks held her son's drawing against her chest. Milo had sketched her standing at a big desk in Washington, speaking into a microphone. She smiled, tears prickling her eyes. Today, she would speak before Congress about policing reforms. Her heart fluttered with pride and fear. She kissed the drawing, folded it carefully, and tucked it into her notebook. At the Capitol, marble halls echoed with footsteps. Erica's suit felt stiff on her shoulders, but she straightened her posture. Staffers guided her to a private room where she practiced her words one last time. She imagined the night of the raid, the splintered door, her trembling voice, and turned that fear into strength. She read her testimony aloud, clear, calm, honest. Each sentence carried the weight of her experience and the hopes of families like hers. When her name was called, Erica stepped up to the witness table. Cameras clicked, lights flashed. She looked out at the panel of senators and representatives. In the audience, advocates and survivors watched with quiet anticipation. Erica took a deep breath. "Good morning," she began, voice steady. "I am Special Agent Erica Banks. 2 months ago, police broke into my home without cause. I was an FBI agent and, yet, no one believed me." A hush fell. She told them about waking in terror, the moment she raised her badge, and the seconds that stretched on as officers ignored her. She spoke of her son, Milo, who drew stars on the pavement to light her way through darkness. Her voice caught when she described his tears when she left for Washington. She paused, blinked back tears, then continued, "Our laws protect rights, not doors. We must teach that respect is a duty, not a favor." Erica proposed national standards, mandatory bias training, transparent reporting, and independent review boards. She shared stories volunteers had sent from across the country. A mother who woke to a mistaken raid in Chicago. A veteran whose service record did not stop him from being handcuffed in Detroit. Each story reinforced her message. Change was urgent. Change was possible. As she finished, the room sat silent for a heartbeat, and then applause rose, tentative at first, then strong. Some lawmakers stood, others nodded. Erica's chest swelled with relief. She had spoken her truth, and they had listened. A senator approached afterward and thanked her for her courage. "Your voice will help shape our laws," he said. Erica felt a proud warmth spread through her. Back in her hotel room that night, Erica dialed home. Milo's sleepy face appeared on the screen, his hair mussed from bed. "Did you do it, Mama?" he whispered. Erica smiled through tears. Yes, baby, I did. Milo yawned and burrowed under his blanket. I'm proud of you, he mumbled before his eyes closed. Erica watched him drift to sleep. Her heart felt full. The next morning, Erica stood on a balcony overlooking the National Mall. Cherry blossoms framed the sky. She held Milo's drawing, tracing the lines with her finger. The city stretched below her monuments, crowds, the promise of change. She whispered, "We're making a difference." Behind her, the Capitol dome gleamed in the sun. Erica turned and walked back inside, ready for the work ahead. The road to justice would be long, but she no longer walked it alone. Every step she took carried Milo's courage, her community's hope, and the unwavering belief that one voice could light the darkest halls of power. Tonight, she would return home not just as a survivor of injustice, but as a leader, forging a safer world for every family. Sunlight filtered through the airplane window as Erica Banks held her son's drawing against her chest. Milo had sketched her standing at a big desk in Washington, speaking into a microphone. She smiled, tears prickling her eyes. Today, she would speak before Congress about policing reforms. Her heart fluttered with pride and fear. She kissed the drawing, folded it carefully, and tucked it into her notebook. At the Capitol, marble halls echoed with footsteps. Erica's suit felt stiff on her shoulders, but she straightened her posture. Staffers guided her to a private room where she practiced her words one last time. She imagined the night of the raid, the splintered door, her trembling voice, and turned that fear into strength. She read her testimony aloud, clear, calm, honest. Each sentence carried the weight of her experience and the hopes of families like hers. When her name was called, Erica stepped up to the witness table. Cameras clicked, lights flashed. She looked out at the panel of senators and representatives. In the audience, advocates and survivors watched with quiet anticipation. Erica took a deep breath. "Good morning," she began, voice steady. "I am Special Agent Erica Banks. 2 months ago, police broke into my home without cause. I was an FBI agent and, yet, no one believed me." A hush fell. She told them about waking in terror, the moment she raised her badge, and the seconds that stretched on as officers ignored her. She spoke of her son, Milo, who drew stars on the pavement to light her way through darkness. Her voice caught when she described his tears when she left for Washington. She paused, blinked back tears, then continued, "Our laws protect rights, not doors. We must teach that respect is a duty, not a favor." Erica proposed national standards, mandatory bias training, transparent reporting, and independent review boards. She shared stories volunteers had sent from across the country. A mother who woke to a mistaken raid in Chicago. A veteran whose service record did not stop him from being handcuffed in Detroit. Each story reinforced her message. Change was urgent. Change was possible. As she finished, the room sat silent for a heartbeat, and then applause rose, tentative at first, then strong. Some lawmakers stood, others nodded. Erica's chest swelled with relief. She had spoken her truth, and they had listened. A senator approached afterward and thanked her for her courage. "Your voice will help shape our laws," he said. Erica felt a proud warmth spread through her. Back in her hotel room that night, Erica dialed home. Milo's sleepy face appeared on the screen, his hair mussed from bed. "Did you do it, Mama?" he whispered. Erica smiled through tears. "Yes, baby, I did." Milo yawned and burrowed under his blanket. "I'm proud of you," he mumbled before his eyes closed. Erica watched him drift to sleep. Her heart felt full. The next morning, Erica stood on a balcony overlooking the National Mall. Cherry blossoms framed the sky. She held Milo's drawing, tracing the lines with her finger. The city stretched below her monuments, crowds, the promise of change. She whispered, "We're making a difference." Behind her, the Capitol dome gleamed in the sun. Erica turned and walked back inside, ready for the work ahead. The road to justice would be long, but she no longer walked it alone. Every step she took carried Milo's courage, her community's hope, and the unwavering belief that one voice could light the darkest halls of power. Tonight, she would return home not just as a survivor of injustice, but as a leader, forging a safer world for every family. Erica stepped off the train in New Chicago, just as the morning sun touched the skyline. She carried her small suitcase and Milo's drawing of her at the Capitol. Every footstep toward home felt like a heartbeat strong and alive. She had spoken before Congress, led city reforms, and stood before thousands. Yet walking these familiar streets, she understood that real victory belonged here, among the people she loved, and the house that once trembled with fear at the station's exit. Her neighbors waited, with flowers and hand-drawn signs. "Welcome home, Agent Banks." Milo's school friends ran forward, shouting his name and tugging at her coat. Erica knelt, gathering them into a circle of hugs and laughter. Their smiles felt like sunlight through broken glass, healing and bright. She lifted Milo onto her hip and let the others chatter as she listened, her heart full of gratitude for every small voice that rose in welcome. When she reached her front gate, Erica paused. The door frame stood straight and freshly painted a warm cream. The broken locket from her mother's jewelry box hung on a new hook inside, repaired by a kind neighbor. She unlocked the door and stepped into the living room. No more splintered wood, no more chaos. Every picture hung straight, every cushion fluffed. The house felt like hers again, not as a survivor's refuge, but as a home reborn by care and courage. Later that afternoon, Erica visited the police precinct, where she had first raised her badge in the dark. She found a group of officers, leading a bias awareness workshop, her proposal in action. They practiced respectful greeting drills and shared stories of trust in the community. When they saw her, faces lit with smiles, the lead detective approached, offering a small tray of homemade cookies. "For you," he said quietly. Erica accepted them with a nod and genuine warmth. "Thank you for learning," she told him. That evening, neighbors and colleagues gathered at the reopened community center. The mayor unveiled a plaque in honor of rights and respect. Families crowded around as Erica cut the ribbon. Children ran beneath the banner, their laughter echoing against fresh paint. She watched a young girl show her mother how to hold hands up, no fear, when police approached, a simple drill that once might have saved her own life. Erica felt tears prickle her eyes. This was justice alive. As dusk settled, Erica hosted a small dinner on her back porch. Long tables held pots of spicy stew, fresh bread, and honeyed tea. The detective who led the raid sat beside her parents, and Milo played tag with officers' children under string lights. Conversations flowed, stories of hope, promises of continued reform. Erica raised her glass of lemonade. "To freedom," she said. "To respect." Glasses clinked softly, and for a moment, every worry melted into shared resolve. That night, Erica tucked Milo into bed. He held her hand and whispered, "Mama, I'm glad you fought." She kissed his forehead and smoothed his hair. The locket lay on her nightstand, its clasp shining in the lamp's glow. Erica closed her eyes and thought of every woman who had ever woken in terror, every family who had feared their own doors. She had turned pain into power, fear into change. As she drifted to sleep, she knew the road would continue, but so would her courage. In the quiet darkness, hope burned brighter than any floodlight.